Greetings, STS-3SS, and active naval reserves, Andrew Savage. Today's date, the 18th day of May, Wednesday, 2016 Common Era, 21:15 Pacific Coast Time, GMT, 9:15 p.m. This one's in regards to Petty Officer Bagley, Corman Bagley, Chief Bagley. Talk about cartoon character names running around on a ship. It's supposed to be looking out for world safety, protecting the globe. Okay, so he finds out that I have a broken coccyx, right? Clear fucking alcoholic, mind you. Hindsight 2020. Spongy, porous skin's there, kind of like spongy, porous skin. That is kind of like what you'd see if you were looking for DUIs as a cop pulling people over. Finds out that I have a broken coccyx, right? And instead of treating it serious and in all sincerity of medical ethics and uniform ethics, he decides to ask me jokingly, what were you doing last night? Having butt sex out in town with your friends? Well, I was still trying to recover how it actually happened. You know, getting kicked repeatedly, getting thrown down on the ground and kicked by Andrew Wesley Keach Sr. there when he was, that's right, that was when he was welding on his truck when I went outside to ask him what he was doing. And then he started using me, and he was drunk too when he was welding back together there. It started going off again using the N-word, a bunch of profanity, and I'm like, hey, I already told you not to use that word around me. And there go the beatings again. Anyway, so, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Talk about cartoon character names, right? Corman Bagley. Would you let someone with the last name Bagley be your corpsman as a Marine? Like, what's he gonna do? Just say, walk around doing, he looks like an alcoholic. He's overweight. Never saw him pass the PRT the entire time I was on that ship. While the retards were all gaffing their logs, pretending that they passed, while I was running laps around them with a broken coccyx, doing sit-ups, running laps around them, doing push-ups, running laps around them, running laps literally around the track around them, and even smoking before and after, still running laps around them. And that guy, he's a cartoon character, just taking shots, seeing all his injured service members around him, just laughing it up, going, oh, they're just a drama queen. Those were your words, right? Drama queen? That's something you like to freaking say around the ship. Drama queen this, drama queen that. One of those cocktail party retards. Just, what's he gonna do when he goes back to the Marine Corps? Just walk around injured Marines going, oh, that one's just got a scrape, he'll be alright. That one's just got a scrape. Morphine. That one's just got a scrape. Oh, that one's just being a melodramatic queen. Then he goes full circle and he's like, oh, bag that guy, bag that guy, bag that guy, bag that guy. Petty Officer Bagley. Cartoon character name. How many other cartoon character names did they have on that ship? They had Commander, first name Craig, not caring about who's Craig he's going to dump radioactive waste into. Then you had the P-shaped head guy, a Caucasian dude, just acting like everyone that's not in the engineering department's a fecal matter retard, always dropping his jaw, acting like a freaking Tata retard. And then Peterson there. Oh man, his logic's upside down. Oh wow, using the Geiger counter switch as if it's a volume amplitude control switch, zeroing it out, then bringing it up to make it look like he didn't zero it out. Every time it'd go click, 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 click. And then, Peterson. Upside down logic. And Petty Officer Adam Himes there, more concerned about collecting a check, not concerned about who's getting killed, whose Adama's Heinz ketchup bottle is breaking, just as long as he's collecting a check there, and then continuously talking about how he's roofied people out in town. Date rapist Adam Himes, that is. Then Petty Officer Holler there, screwing people over, always talking shit, and then calling himself, and talking about religion on watch, about how it's acceptable to think a crucifixion is about driving nails into his teacher's hands and nailing them to a piece of wood. That's not a crucifixion, you retard. Don't correct me, it's not your language to correct me in. Crucifixion, it's imparting of knowledge upon your coming back home. Like a coming home ceremony. You ever ask yourself what a crucible is while you guys are selling children a crock of fiction about what you're contemplating on doing upon Christ's return? Let's not get too much into faith here. With that set aside, obviously on the credendum shelf, then you have Herod Ader there. Herod Hader. Going around the ship, driving wedges between the crew members like a home wrecker, like a crew wrecker. Gaffing his logs, masking signatures. What an arid Ader, void of aiding, like an arid desert of an Ader. Getting an anchor. After everyone on the ship saw how freaking disgusting, how vile he was, how he needed to be put into Leavenworth. Strangling people, throwing people against the bulkheads, harassing people, trying to fatten up Greg John there, and then making fun of Petty Officer Stack, trying to get Stack to snap, always going, don't have a stack attack, and then telling everybody, hey, you go over to your stack, calling the workstations stacks, then saying, bump up your audio, then asking, can I get a bump in my paycheck, then bump this up, bump that up, bump this, then confessing repeatedly to having done cocaine before enlisting. What are the odds that he still does it? Then always talking about his little cocktail parties while on watch. And then Scotch Ailers, Petty Officer Scott Ailers. Scotch Ailers, what a cartoon character name. Egging him on, trying to get him, boosted there. Maybe he can get maybe if Aerodator can get his leg into the Chief's door, maybe Scotch Ailers can run up right behind him and bring in the scotch. Then Klopf there, always making transients on board the ship, like flop, Klopf, like a piece of dough being thrown onto a wood stove. And then you have Petty Officer Waters there, Atomic Unit Waters, just running around egging on people, walking around like he drank some of the coolant from the radioactive chamber called the reactor room, looking like a super nuclear mutant with giant bifocals on, walking around like he's a mutant from a fucking 1800s World War X movie. Who else? Let me see here. Petty Officer Raven Rachels, cutting holes in his pocket, always acting like a female too, cutting holes in his pocket, telling people around the ship that are new to the ship, trying to get their quals, hey, you can't get your quals until you stick your hand in my pocket, and then doing the little Family Guy child molester voice. And then Philip Martinez. Always talking about filling up another martini glass. I'm telling you, it's like cartoon character names. Like the paperwork is just adding itself up. I'm not like happy-go-lucky, laugh, funny time, mind you. But, Philip Martinez always talking about cocktail parties. Filling up another martini glass. And then repeatedly sexually harassing me, telling me to come over and sit on his lap to learn how to perform on the Toto race station. And then going like this, come on, you look small enough. Just sit right on my lap. And then, oh wow, it's like it's spelling itself out. This is called synchronicity, when things just spell themselves out as pure as day. He looks like, oh, you guessed it, Pope Francis. 2016, Common Era. Oh, what are those popes in the Vatican known for? Shielding child rapists? Gaffing logs? Destroying public records? Oh, and then Petty Officer Parks. Always playing hide and go seek on board a nuclear-powered submarine. When I was going to try to talk to him about ship's quals, and then after I got ship's qualified, always shitting on me behind my back, talking to other people. Oh, like words don't get around there, Petty Officer Parks. As you were running around the ship, parking your butt over here, parking your butt over there, going zoom, playing hide and go seek. When I had many things I needed to get across to you, before and after I got my ship's qual card, and you just kept playing hide and go seek on me. Petty Officer Parks. Wow. Let me see, who else here? Oh, there's someone else. Oh yeah, there's always someone else. Oh, Petty Officer Miles. Petty Officer Taj telling me, when I was going through my depression treatments, he imparted to me before he passed over from, I suppose what his girlfriend told me was a heroin overdose. Which I didn't know the guy did heroin because I had hung out with him so many times. He seemed like he had his head on his shoulders when I hung out with him. I mean, we used to have like very lengthy conversations about our plans in the military, plans out in the civilian life, back home. Kind of like he was like a brother, like sensation, like feeling, and he tells me that Petty Officer Miles was doing lines of cocaine. Then he got a DUI and was getting kicked right out the Navy. So I just figured, 1 + 1 = 2. They got it all on the record. It was just so brief, and I was going through my treatments there for depression that I just figured, that's what he got busted for. But hey, what are the odds that they just saw the DUI? Hindsight being 20/20, right? And then the engineer of the USS Columbia, kind of like he was gaffing his logs. Obviously, he kept gaffing his logs, trying to turn the tables around while his head's already nailed to the desk, like the round table desk. Kind of like he's running after another steak knife to run down his throat. Running around the ship, gaffing his logs, not signing in on the engineer's log, posted on the bulkhead between the aft compartment and the forwarding compartment of the fast attack submarine. And when we were stationed in Pearl Harbor there, when he saw me on my roving tour as the Sentry. No, that was the Rover. No, I'm trying to remember, because I had the shotgun and the 9mm. Anyway, so I go into the officer's table room, officer's nest, and I'm just making sure nothing's out, laying open that shouldn't be out in the open, laying open, what have you, and then checking under the table to see that if there are no explosives. And I took some time there. I just touch the where the captain sits, the chair there, just to make sure it wasn't gonna fall apart. Just. But that was before I looked under the table for explosives planted, anything strange and unusual. And then I hear the retard after heard him run across the crew's mess area, and I was going to confront him on that as soon as I stepped out, but I was looking for the words, and I was also maintaining situational awareness. Then I hear him whispering to like 4 other officers, "Hey guys, Savage has been in there for too long. I left a bowl of grapes out to see if he'll go for the grapes." So, as I was getting up, my legs started to feel, because the thing was, we had just been lifting like things onto the ship, and the week prior I'd been working out, and also that day it was really hot that day. And so I was like, well, this is called hypoglycemic index. Because I had also skipped a meal because I was busy looking. I wasn't hungry at the time, and I was busy just following up some not ship's quals, but division quals and training. And anyway, so the guy there, he decides to stack 4 officers up with him to run through a door opening that's like that big. Just big enough to fit, a guy with really wide shoulders through. Decides to stack up with 4 other guys, 4 other officers, while I'm holding a Mossberg shotgun in my hands. That if I didn't have sensitive hearing that day, you would have lost maybe all 5, or at least 3, with the other 2 just collecting all the blood and particulates from their bodies all over themselves, just holding their bodies there. And then he decides to freaking have me relieved so he can chew me out momentarily, while my legs are still trembling because I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I didn't shoot these guys. I'm so glad I didn't shoot these guys. I should have fucking smashed his head in with the fucking butt of the shotgun and put him in detention. That's highly suspicious activity. But he was still... The thing was that they were doing this bullshit charade routine of constantly making the forward compartment depressed because, oh, we don't have the secrets of nuclear power, while they're all doing nuclear physics equations on broken calculators that don't know how to multiply -2 times -2 and end up with -4. Kind of like he wanted to engineer the ship there to go under and not come back up. And he kept calling himself Mark rather than his last name, his rank, last name, right? He decides to keep telling the ship his name's Mark, and then starts joking around while on watch that he's Colombian. Oh no, now he's Mexican. Oh no, now he's Indian with a feather. And then he's like, no, I'm Indian with a dot. And then he's like, you guys know how I like to play around, right? Maybe he doesn't remember it so much right now because, I don't know, he's one of those boozers. Yeah, he's got a lot of red dots on his head, doesn't he? But I don't think it's from the Indus Valley, like ceremonies there, in terms of getting a wedding. Like he was trying to race bait the crew for some freaking reason. Like he was colorblind to being decent and, politically colorblind. Euphemistically colorblind. Anyway. And then always looking up spongy. Hindsight 2020, right? Then kind of like passing out on watch there, and then trying to make it look like other people are doing it. Like literally just like passing out. And then I point at him. Someone wakes him up, and then he looks for someone else to kind of like play the childish game there, and kicks someone's chair. Petty Officer Bagley calling me a drama queen. Wow. When I'm telling him what's going on, it's like he thinks, oh, gaping hole there. Oh, that's your fault. Suck it up. Mentality. Not a very good crew to have. Wow. Who else on that ship was being a cartoon character?